today is known in many circles as Blue Monday. If you're not familiar with it, the theory behind it is this. The third Monday in January has been reported to be the day of the year that people tend to feel the most depressed.
Whether you want to blame seasonal affective disorder or maybe post-holiday blues as the reasons behind it, the point is the same. Not enough people are talking about suicide prevention, especially with their kids.
How necessary is it? Well, consider this statistic. Suicide is the second leading cause of death for anyone over the age of 10. So how should you talk to your kids about depression and suicide? We went to the experts thanks to the Jordan Porco Foundation.
We need to talk to our kids about it. We need to normalize the conversation about suicide and try to make the word suicide not such a bad word.
Stephen Rogers' job at Connecticut Children's Medical Center is, plain and simply, to prevent suicide.
We need to normalize talking about mental health.
The director of Emergency Mental Health Services admits that can be a challenge, especially with teenagers.
Teenagers can be pretty volatile at times.
And often don't necessarily want to talk to parents.
We all get sad and depressed at times, and that's okay for a day or two. It's not okay for a week or two.
The stats say it's a topic that needs to be addressed early and often. According to the 2015 Youth Risk Behavior Survey, 8.6% of youths in grades 9 to 12 reported that they had made at least one suicide attempt in the past 12 months.
So a teenager who's getting progressively worse and not just having spikes of feeling sad or depressed.
Okay, so what as a parent should you do?
Talk to them. I think it's really important to check in with your kids on a regular basis and determine whether they are truly sad. And if that's a frequent concern, then you need to seek help.
And when talking, sharing a common bond, even if it's a depressed feeling, can be a good thing and trust building. Rogers says once the lines of communication are open, there are specific things to look for.
Isolating themselves, not wanting to go to school, not having friends, not wanting to talk to you as their parent, and seemingly sad or depressed for days on end.
Does talking about this lead to the thought of suicide?
No, absolutely not. In fact, talking about suicide can be preventative and actually help.
And in the end, the goal should be to make sure that the word suicide isn't a bad word.
They may recognize it, and we should open the door and have those conversations so that if they ever have those feelings, they don't feel like it's a bad word.
Interesting and strong topic. There are a few more warning signs to look for if you think your child is suffering from depression or maybe thinking about suicide. Take a look. They include changes in eating or sleeping habits, frequent sadness, withdrawal from friends, family activities, a decline in schoolwork, a preoccupation with death or dying, or if you see your child giving away some of their prized possessions with just a lack of caring about keeping stuff, that's a red flag as well. We asked you on social media what you thought. Is there a good way to talk to your kids? Do you talk to your kids about this? Claudia wrote, I'm open with both of my kids about my own struggles, and they know they can come to me anytime with questions or worries. And they have. And that's what Stephen said in the story. You can find that common bond with your child. Say, look, I've been there. Yeah. I am still there from time to time with the ebbs and flows of life, and that's okay. That common ground sometimes can be a good catalyst in starting the conversation.
It's just, you know, almost in a way as a parent to let your child know you're a person who's not perfect too.
That's right.
And that's sort of a way you could possibly relate to one another. I see it. It makes sense.
Opening the conversation, the dialogue.
Yeah, the worst thing you do is do nothing, obviously. The one thing I learned from this, and it was surprising, treatment, psychiatrists and psychologists, and they say if you're having difficulty talking to your kids, you can go to a guidance counselor at school, and they'll start the conversation as well. But the word that they're shying away from is commit. As in commit suicide. They say commit usually has an annotation of being a bad word. You've committed a crime. So when they do talk about counseling and what is the right way of talking about this, they shy away from that word as well.
It's also becoming a journalistic standard too.
Absolutely.
To say died by suicide, not committed suicide.
Right, exactly. So. To get that negative annotation away from talking about this. So there you go. Interesting.
Right. Important topic, certainly. Coming up next here on the